Hello. Welcome to this week's edition of Cocktails with Chrystal. So, if I have not had the opportunity to meet you yet in these social media streets, my name is Chrystal L. I am the creator of this little space and corner of the internet. I am the founder of All Hair Academy and the Beauty Collective, and my goal is just to help create more safe and inclusive spaces where everybody feels like they belong. So, tonight's edition of Cocktail with Chrystal, my cocktail of choice is tequila and a little bit of lemonade. I would love to know what your cocktail of choice is in the comments, where you're from in the comments, and as a stylist, educator, brand, what do you do? Commission owner, suite owner, all the things, coach, educator. So today, for Cocktails with Chrystal, we are talking about, should you be doing hourly pricing? Yay or nay? So there is always talk about pricing structure, what works best, who should be doing what, how you should be doing it. If you have not had the opportunity to hang out with me, my philosophy is I coach to do what works for you. I can tell you what's worked for me. I am not the end all be all, but this is what has worked for me or not worked for me. And I invite you to get curious about all the things. Hey, Tawana, she got that Stella Black sweet red wine. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you for joining me with Cocktails with Chrystal. So, hourly or service-based, which one should you be doing? So, I think in order to decide which one you should be doing, we have to understand what both of them are. So, service-based pricing. It is the traditional pricing that most of us have seen our entire careers. It consists of a menu with very specific items that are a very specific price. Pricing for chemical services are usually at a starting at price and will vary depending on length, service, complexity. Cutting would vary sometimes depending on length, complexity, finish, all the things depending on how you do it. And stylists were charging according to length, density, all of those things. That is service-based. However, a lot of times with service-based, we aren't looking at product consumption. We aren't looking at our overhead expenses, our variables, or our fixed expenses, right? And this can get a little bit weird when we start talking about terminology like root shadows, toners, cover-ups. Like when you get into all those in-depth things, if you are a service-based a la carte menu, it can get a little bit confusing for your clients as they are deciding what to book. So that is, service-based. Hourly pricing, really honestly, if you think about it, has been kind of an industry standard if you were doing corrective color, right? So if you were doing corrective color, as a stylist, most of the times you would base that off an hourly rate. So why has that standard not compiled across the board for all stylists and salon appointments? Ultimately, people say who are for hourly pricing, this would eliminate each and every step of the a la carte. It would just, this is my price for this service or these amount of services or this, session. And you're able to create more of a future in your books. You know exactly how much you're going to make. It takes out a lot of the guesswork for future bookings, for clients, for all the things. So that's the hourly pricing module. Now, I am a person who likes to look at, all the things. And I came across an article from Modern Salon about why salon professionals should all be charging an hourly rate. Now, the way they break it down, hey, Lisa, the way they break it down is that we should all be charging for every single moment that we spend with our clients, no matter what. They give the example of a masseuse, right? So me and Tawana go for a massage. I'm all about a massage. Hey. And she gets a 30 and I get a 60-minute massage. Tawana's going to pay a different price than I am, right? Because we are then paying for time. So technically, we're both getting the exact amount of technical thing, right? We're both getting a Swedish massage, but each of us are paying differently because that technique is being used differently. So why, as stylists, are we not doing hourly rates? I don't know. It just depends on who you are again and what you're doing. So the article also talks about rebuilding after the last 2 years. What does that look like? I don't know about you all, but I feel like ever since the last 2 years have happened with COVID and pandemic, that people are all about self-care. I ain't gonna lie, I was like a real self-care person before, but people now are really into self-care, honoring themselves, investing more in getting services like hair and makeup and spa services. They are really looking forward to treating themselves. Now, they want an experience. And what I will tell you as a stylist who's been in the game 13 years, and 6 years ago, I really stepped up my experience game. That has always been the case. I had a very recession-proof business. I made more money and worked a lot less in 2021 than I ever had before. And I think it was because now my clients really valued that experience. So one of the things that the article points out is that if you do hourly pricing, you're now focused on styling, right? You're focused on giving the client everything that they need. You're not now like, okay, so we're going to do a root touch up. We're going to do a highlight. We're going to put some blonding pieces, and it's going to be this amount. And if you want a glaze or a toner, I never say toner, but if you want a glaze, then it's this amount. So you're really calculating the amount of value or the end result based on the a la carte services that you are offering. So for me, honestly, for the last 7 years, I am like, okay, I am doing this service. This service includes a treatment, the service, and a style. And that's just the price. And then I looked at all the things that I offered within that price. And I looked at my fixed expenses and I looked at what I wanted to bring home. And that was just the price that I had. So I think I've been doing this hourly thing for a long time, but never called it that, right? It says it builds better relationship with their client. It helps you with hourly pricing, them know exactly what they're getting for their price. It allows you to give them your all. You are going to do whatever it takes to make them beautiful within that service price, and they're going to love and honor you for it, says the article. I don't know. And then it says that it creates more financial certainty for you. Now, I will tell you 100%, I 100% agree with that. I am of the thought process that you should know exactly what every moment of your time is worth. So I've always been a person who was like, okay, I need to make this much money to have this sort of living, and it costs me this much to run my business. So what should I be making every hour that I'm in the salon? So you have the ability, when you understand that you're able to predict your future offerings. You are also able to predict future expenses and costs. Hey, Nina. Hey, Kelly. You are also able to predict changes and increments that are happening in the economy when you have an hourly pricing. So that is the benefits of knowing financially what you are going to expect as time happens. Now, one of the big things that I often get people ask me is they're like, well, how do you communicate this with a smooth transition? And I always say, I invite you to get curious and dive deeper when you are thinking about whatever kind of pricing you're doing. So if you're thinking about hourly pricing, thinking about how it's going to create a healthier work environment, not just for yourself, but your employees as well. It explains to both your clients and your employees that it benefits everyone. One, it focuses on the overall achieving goal, right? So for your clients, if it's this beautiful picture that they brought in, you're going to be able to give them all of that, and they're going to know how much it's going to cost them. And it's not going to be a nickel and diming me because this is too much. They know what they're walking into. For your staff, they're knowing what they're making, right? They know if I work this amount and my hourly rate is this, I can predict how much money I'm going to bring home. I can predict how often I need to work. I can predict what services I should focus on. So it takes that guessing game out. Thank you so much, Joy. She says she agrees my employees love the way of the pricing. I think it just makes it like I know exactly how much I'm going to spend. I know exactly how much I'm going to make. There's no guessing. I can put it in my budget. Now, again, I always tell you guys, I just give the facts and I tell you what works for me. Now, word in the street, often I get as someone who deals with how do I make a more inclusive beauty space? They say, hourly pricing is kind of a hindrance, or it penalizes people who have more texture, overly textured hair because it takes more time. I can tell you this. If you are a stylist who is not comfortable doing whatever your service is on all hair textures and types, then your hourly pricing should vary on your skill set, right? So if your skill set is not up to par with the service that you're offering on all textures, then your hourly rate should not be the same, right? If it's going to take you longer because of your skill set, then I invite you to get curious about that when you're thinking about hourly rate. I can tell all of you, for me, I am so efficient when it comes to a blowout. We'll just say a blowout. I'm so efficient when it comes to a blowout. It takes me the same amount of time on a blowout of someone who has overly kinky hair as it does on someone who has straight hair, because I have a system in place and the foundations of those don't change. So my hourly rate really doesn't change. Now, what does change is that I'm adding and doing more services, right? So that is taking longer. So that amount of time that it's taking me to do that round brush blowout is exactly the same. If I was going to go add flat iron curls to whomever it is more, and that price then becomes more, and it's more for whomever is sitting in my chair. Even before hourly pricing came on the map, I'm pretty sure all of us charged more, or should have been charging more, if we use more color. If old girl had hair down to her ass, you use more product, right? Like you were charging more for more density, more length. So there's no difference when it comes to doing hourly pricing now. So how do you decide what model works better for you? And how does it impact your business? I can just tell you from my experience and what I've done. So I do hourly pricing in a very interesting way. I've always done hourly pricing in a very interesting way, even when I didn't know it was called hourly pricing. I have a dream number. That dream number is what it takes for me to do all the things that I want to do with my family, with my business, and what I need to make to live that life. Hey, JC. Then I take, what does it cost to run my business, right? What are my fixed expenses? What are my variable expenses? I combine those two numbers, right? And then I take how much I want to work, right? How many hours a month do I want to be in the salon? And then I pretty much take those two numbers, right? The two of my dream number of what I want to do to live, what it costs to run my business, and then I divided it by how many hours I wanted to work. That became my hourly rate, and that became my initial start of my haircut price. My haircuts took me an hour. That was the price that included everything. And when I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, it is 97.33. My damn haircuts were definitely not 97.33. Then I had to do some soul searching to be like, when I show up every day, am I making the amount of money that I need to live and support my business? The answer was, nah, boo, you're not. So what did that say to me? It was time for a price increase. So what did I do? I got scared as hell, I'll be honest. I was like, oh, a price increase. Ooh, okay. I've been literally like pricing most of my stuff off of emotion. And now I knew what I needed to be charging. And I knew that I was undercharging. So the next step was, how do I get there? So for me, it was really analyzing the services I was providing, having a clear idea of what I was giving my clients, looking at my retention and being like, oh yeah, boo, I'm worth $97. And I created a pretty much, I would say, a roadmap or a system to get there. And now I confidently raise my prices as things have raised, the economy has raised. I don't know who in the world doesn't get a raise every year. So I'm gonna give myself a raise every year because it's a cost of living raise. And just because I work for myself absolutely does not mean that I don't get a raise. My clients love and value me and they understand that. So raises have never been a thing. I've raised my prices every single year. I will tell you in 2020, I raised my prices 3 times. And mostly that was because I decided to really dive deeper into what it was costing me to run my business, what it was costing me to have employees, what I really wanted to do. And I wanted to up my self-care game, which means I needed to make a little bit more money. So doing that calculation, I switched it. Some people say, you cap your earning potential when you do hourly rates. I don't know. I don't know if you do hourly, if that caps your earning potential. I don't think so. I think that that also gives you an opportunity to upsell things that no one else is doing, right? Upsell a styling lesson, upsell a go out, a blowout for a night out, upsell treatments that are pigment conditioners that people can take home. The upsell becomes that it looks a little bit different, right? The upsell looks a little bit different maybe when you do the hourly rate. But I'm a girl who's like, yo, I want to think outside the box. I want to give my clients something that Jan, Susie, and Karina are not giving them down the street. Again, so I want to know what you do. What are your thoughts on hourly pricing versus service pricing versus sessions pricing? What's your current model? Like if you're catching this on the replay or you're hanging out with me now, like what are you currently doing? I saw that Joyla said that she does hourly pricing and her staff loves it. I think that pricing has been one of the biggest topics in 2020, 2022. And I think it's because people are like, I haven't been charging enough. I'm not making enough money. A lot of people don't even know what it costs to run their businesses. So hourly charging becomes very scary because you really need to understand what it costs to really understand how hourly pricing works. But I promise it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated for you to sit down and decide what's best for you. I'm not saying hourly pricing is best for you. I am just saying that I invite you to get curious to really understand your numbers and decide, should you be hourly? Should you be service-based? Should you be sessions? Should you be tips, no tips? I'm just saying I invite you to get curious about what works for you, boo, because I can't tell you that this is what you should be doing. Right? I love what JC says. She does a mix of hourly, a la carte, depending on what it is. There is not one size fit all. And if there is a coach, a stylist, a brand that comes and tells you like, you have to be doing this, I would be giving them the deuces, because there is nothing that says that Chrystal in Missouri, JC in Oklahoma, Nina in Florida, as stylists who do this, you should all be charging this, and this is how you should be doing it. No. You should be doing what works for you. So I invite you to get curious to really understand your numbers, understanding what all the pricing structures mean, and understanding what works best for you, because everything is not a fit for everybody. And I want to keep talking about this conversation. There's something super cool coming in June, and there is a wait list for it. And it's going to just dive deeper into talking about what works for me. Am I losing money? How do I do my pricing? How do I do a price increase? Because I'm going to tell y'all that is like the number 2 question that comes into my inbox is like, yo, I want to make more money, but I'm scared as to how to do a price increase. So there's a link in my bio if you want to join the wait list for what's coming in June. It's a dope something all around charging our worth, deciding what our worth is, based on what we need to do to live. And thank you, Michelle. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. This is this week's episode of Cocktails with Chrystal. I will be back next week talking more about all the things that affect us on a daily basis as educators, stylists, suite owners, booth renters, commission stylists, all the things and in between. Remember, every day is a new opportunity to slay. Thank you so much for hanging out with me with this week's Cocktails with Chrystal. Peace and love, y'all.